I truly don't know how to start this video. Genuinely. It feels like I'm saying goodbye to a friend. It feels like I'm saying goodbye to someone who has been in my life for a very long time. And that might seem dramatic, but when I watched the second to last episode of Gozyuger last week, it truly felt sad. It's probably really weird to say. But as the title says, we're saying goodbye to Super Sentai. I almost wanted to make a joke and say I rhymed, but that doesn't feel very appropriate. But this is in fact the end of Super Sentai. And it's for multiple reasons, which are sad. It feels almost not quite... The ending doesn't feel good for the ending of Sentai. And there's multiple reasons for that. But after 50 years, or about 50 years of Super Sentai goodness, to end on Gozyuger feels a bit of a letdown. And I think a lot of people could say that. And I'm recording this before I even watched the last episode. I want to be able to think clearly before I watch it, because I know that the ending is probably gonna, one, disappoint me for the end of the show and for the end of the season and for the end of a whole lifetime of content. But I also want to look at it clearly with a level head and be able to remember the great moments of the past, all the great shows we've had prior. And it's like that argument, like, what is your favorite Sentai? Like, people are probably going to ask that quite a lot. Think of what your favorite Sentai is. Tell us what your favorite Sentai is. And I will ask that for you guys to put that in the comments, so go do that. But also, like, everyone's going to have a favorite. Everyone's going to have a different favorite one that they love. And I think that's great about these shows. Everyone has something different. These shows are so expansive. These shows are so different in so many great ways. There are some flops. I'm not going to deny there are some flops. But you can enjoy each one separately. You can enjoy it as a whole season. You can enjoy it as a whole bombastic show, as multiple seasons. Because that is what makes Sentai great, actually. There are so many great things about Sentai compared to different shows in Japan, but also with different shows in America that even Power Rangers haven't quite worked out. But yeah, Super Sentai was the beginning of Power Rangers. It was the origin of Power Rangers. And there's always that argument, isn't there? There's always that argument which is like, Power Rangers is better than Sentai. Power Rangers can survive without Sentai. The other argument is you always have to, you can't compare them. You cannot look at one without the other. And I agree, but I also disagree. People are always going to call Sentai the Japanese Power Rangers to those who don't understand the concept. But also, when you're saying that Power Rangers is better than Sentai, I have to disagree. I think you can look at shows separately. Like, you can look at a Sentai show and be like completely separate from your other favorite Sentai season. I think you could do that. But to say one doesn't affect the other is very wrong. From a lot of the beginning of Power Rangers, all of that footage, all of the fighting footage, was thanks to Super Sentai. So in a way, when Power Ranger purists are like, no, it's not as good, you better thank Sentai, at least. Thank Sentai. And I guess that's what we're here to do today, is thank Super Sentai. I remember when I first started watching Super Sentai and Toku in general with Kamen Rider, I was in like year 9. I don't know what that is for like other countries or in America, but I think that's just year 9, level 9. I don't know. And when I first watched it, I was very alone in my obsession with Toku, or in general Toku, yeah. Because I got introduced to anime by a very good friend of mine at the time, who was trying to get me to watch more anime, and at the time I was just like, no, I don't like anime. Oh god. If little old me could see me now, dressed up in Yara merch with loads of content and with loads of suits in the background, oh, what would you think of me? But yeah, I started watching anime because a friend of mine told me so. And I got very, very stuck in the hole. I started watching all these animes, and then I found out about the world of Toku. I watched J-dramas and K-dramas first, and then I found Kamen Rider, then I found Super Sentai and realized the Power Ranger connection. And then I was lost to time. Well, mostly. I had a break when I went to uni because I just didn't have time to be a part of the community. And even before, I wasn't really part of any community. I watched it very much alone. But I enjoyed the drama, the action, the fights, the suits, the characters. Oh, it made me so emotional. I'm thinking of, spoilers now, I'm thinking of Kamen Rider Double's ending. I'm thinking of Go Onja when Sasuke gets turned into a bronze statue and the emotion that you feel with that. I'm thinking of Gokaijo when he has to fight against his arch nemesis. Oh, there's so many great moments in Toku that makes me want to say that if I had to say one is better than the other, Power Rangers or Sentai, I'd have to say Sentai. Power Rangers is great, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that one is actually better than the other. I'm just saying for the content you get, Sentai is better. With Power Rangers, like, we all know about the reports where people have said that actors are not allowed to act. It's a kid's show. No one would really care. But in Sentai, you feel every moment. And as you grow up with it, you realize the importance of Sentai. You realize how important it is for new actors to jump into the industry. You find out about so much more of the behind the scenes, about how Sentai is made, Kamen Rider is made. You hear about the businesses, the industry. You find out about adverts, and it's so ingrained in Japanese society and community. And even though Sentai is a kid's show, Kamen Rider is a kid's show, there are so many deeper meanings, deeper lessons to learn, deeper morals to learn, darker stories. I know there's always the meme about, you can't talk about Sentai, you can't talk about it being darker, or you can't say Kamen Rider is dark. I just think it's very funny because all that means is that there is this pure emotion of grief, loss, love, togetherness, community coming together, sacrifice. You feel that occasionally in Power Rangers, but I feel like you feel it especially on a purer level in Sentai all the time. All of the emotions, everything. But also, as a grown-up, you find out, as I said before, you find out more about the industry, why things happen. Like recently, I went to a convention, I think last year, and I found out that Futo PI, the anime, was a test for something, to see if the Western audience would want to see something more. Hence why Kamen Rider Zets was added. It is, I think it's something like that there's a test initially with something Kamen Rider related, they'll see how it does, and then they'll bring other things over. Like, you wouldn't think that, but apparently that's how it is. But also, another thing, the reason why Sentai is ending is, again, toy sales. You don't realize how important toy sales are to a company like this when you're watching the show, and you don't really think about the impact that it has. But it's so important to them. Toei is a toy company. Kamen Rider, Toku shows, like in general, are always going to look at the numbers, the toy sales. They'll make the toy first, then make the story around it. It's very interesting. If you want more information about how it works, go and watch Marcus Atsu's videos on the side here, because it's very interesting. Go watch them, please. But it was revealed that after Gozyuger, Super Sentai will end. And that's because of toy sales. There's a graph. I can't remember it. I'll see if I can find it. But there's a graph where you can see Kamen Rider toy sales and Super Sentai toy sales can like up and down, going up and down throughout the years. Kamen Rider's just exponentially gone up very quickly. Sentai, not so much. It was joining in for a bit and then splits very, very quickly. And you wouldn't think that. The Sentai's been really struggling. Ironically, with the shows that I actually really like, it's been struggling since I joined watching it again. It's been struggling for a while. So people asking, why are they getting rid of Sentai? Why? It's business practice. It's business. It's toy sales aren't doing well. And what's ironic is that people are also saying that, is this the season that they're going to end it? Gozyuger, is this the video or show that they're going to end Sentai on? It wasn't supposed to. Actually, it was quite a drastic decision in a way. Was this in fact the best ending to 50 years of Super Sentai? And in a way, no. Because Gozyuger wasn't meant to be the final season of Sentai. I think they were going to continue Sentai. It just happened to be their 50th anniversary, so let's go big 50 with the big ring war. But I think it wasn't meant to end here. But with the toy sales and everything, they decided that this, I think it was like literally halfway through the show, or probably at the beginning of production, they were like, this will be the end of Sentai. For at least 10 years, but we don't know about that. There was also loads of production issues and situations with this show. So that probably doesn't help Gozyuger as the final show. And another reason why I wanted to talk about this first before watching the show's finale, because I just know that I've already seen a spoiler of one screenshot, and that's connected to the Maya Imamori replacement with Kohaku of Dom Brothers, which I think we all know. Toei had to do it because of contractual obligations. I don't think they necessarily wanted to completely disrupt their process or their production with refilming and re-editing everything. I don't think they really wanted to do that. If you genuinely think that Toei actually wanted to do it, I think you're mad. I think they could have done it better, or they could have worked it out better. But ultimately, it was the scandals that were said by Soju and Busan, or like the tabloid company. And because Seju, her agency dragged her out and said, nah, Toei had to replace her. Would Gozyuger have been a better show if they had no issues like that? Maybe. I think a lot of people stopped watching because they pulled her out. So in a way, it was a really bad situation both ways. Would the show have been better if Maya Imamori hadn't been dragged out? Maybe. But that is a world we will not know. And because of everything that's happened, it will probably be like Gozyuger will be a bit of a bitter taste in people's mouths, I think, for a while. I really enjoyed Gozyuger. I think they did what they had to keep the production going as quick as they could. They had to recover very quickly. I think the elements that they've done at the end would have been so good with Maya Imamori. There's stories that we missed with Maya's Sumino. But yeah, it sucks, it hurts. We'll see how the ending goes. But enough talking about Gozyuger in a negative light. We'll come back to Gozyuger after I watch the finale. It'll probably be at the end of this video where I talk about the finale and being like, yay, this is what I thought of it overall. But for now, what do I think of it? As Sentai as a whole. I think with the replacement of Space Sheriff Gavan, I wasn't very excited about it. Because there's elements of Sentai that I am going to miss so hard. I'm going to miss the mechanical friends, like Navi, Bundario, Setchan, and all like the friends, like the robotic friends. I think that's a huge part of Sentai. Another thing is the colorful team, the big team from the get-go. Kamen Rider kind of builds up to the big team, but Sentai starts big and gets bigger most of the time. I think I'm going to miss that. It's the team dynamic. It's the interaction of all these different characters. It's the suits as well. There's something so nostalgic and so lovely about the suits itself and the colors, the multiple colors. And by the way, if you don't think there's some little bit of gay writing in like, or queer baiting in Toku, especially in Sentai sometimes, they're literally dressed up as a rainbow. Think about it. But there's so many elements that are so Sentai coded that they won't necessarily do in Kamen Rider. Like, they're very different shows, even though they're both superhero shows with suits and colors and friends and all that. They're like different shows, and I just hope that Space Gavan has that same feeling that we're going to be missing in Sentai. Because I think the shows did well. I think it's the toys that weren't as popular. Hopefully. I don't know. I need to look at the production and like the views. But maybe they'll bring Space Gavan onto YouTube. I think Zet's being on YouTube has been a huge success. Please tell me if I'm wrong. But imagine Sentai coming to YouTube. That'd be sick. I can't wait for that. Here's hoping. But yeah, I'm just babbling now. So for now, I'm going to pause and I'm going to watch the finale. And I'll come back right here and tell you my final thoughts. And we'll say goodbye to Gozyuger together. And to Sentai. Oh no! I'm getting really emotional. I didn't think I would get this emotional with a show that caused so much pain and heartache. But I'm gonna really miss it. I'm gonna really miss Sentai. So that's why we're gonna watch more Sentai during the year. We're gonna come back with more reactions, I hope. I'm just gonna miss Sentai, guys. Is that bad? Am I... Oh, I'm emotional. Anyway, see you in the second half of this video where I talk about Gozyuger and finally the end of Sentai. Expect tears. Yeah, expect tears. Anyway, see you in a bit. Okay. It's the day after I watched the episode on stream. Sorry, I got my morning coffee. Yeah, I watched it. I watched it. It was alright. I actually enjoyed it. I cried a little bit, but not as much as I was expecting, which is weird to me. Did I cry? Or was I just angry? I think I just got angry. But yes, I watched it last night. The reaction will come out very soon. We then straight after had like a full-on discussion on that will come out on Marcus Atsu's channel. So do go there. That's where most of my thoughts are. However, I did want to bring up a few notes in general in this video, but most of my thoughts are there. There are a few things I did forget to talk about on that video, so here is my quick thoughts overall with some extra bits that aren't in Marcus's video. Ultimately, I thought it was good. It was fine. There was just so much that was missed out. Is that fair to say? There were so many things that they wanted to do, and one of the major things we talked about yesterday on the discussion with Marcus is the fact that there was so much content in this show. We described it as messy, I guess is the main thing. We described it as messy because there is so much that they included. There was Rei and Hoiru's brother, Kuon, as well as the villain faction, and they each had their own thing. Then there was the Calamity that they introduced for some reason. They introduced it as like this big bad from the other world, but then the big bad was introduced 2 episodes from the end, died in the last second to last episode, and wasn't even part of the finale. So it felt like the only reason why the Calamity was there was to help Kumade's storyline, right? It's just things like that where they've introduced all these so many different like aspects and elements and stuff, and they just never, they didn't give it the right amount of time to go through it, to fully allow that storyline to just be, if you get what I mean. They introduced so many different things where it was just dropped or left or not really brought back up again. So it was very, very weird, but like it was fine. At least we actually got to the end of the battle, the ring battle. And then, oh, of course, spoilers, guys. Sorry, spoilers for those who haven't watched the finale. Go watch the finale and come back here, or go to Marcus's video. But spoilers from now on. It should have been very clear. The battle ends. He wins. He wishes for his friends to come back, basically. Not in that way. He wishes for the ring battle to happen once more. And that's a really big brain move in a way, because then it means that nobody has to die for it. The Calamity had no effect in a way. Yeah, the Calamity had no effect because it was the Calamity that took them away. So the Calamity was there for that dramatic moment, I guess? I don't know. But then he wishes for another ring battle with the others to redo it, which is fair enough. It's actually much better than what I was gonna suggest. Not suggest, I just assumed it was gonna be like, I want my friends back. I want them back. I want all the people lost to come back. And I was just like, I actually like the fact that he asked for another ring battle. I thought that was actually quite nice. It was wasn't what I was expecting. I liked that. I liked that a lot. And then in the epilogue, we find out that a year later passes and the ring battles happened again. So from going from Boom Boomja, where we had no BBG, to technically a show that has 2 ring battles in it, it's just very funny to me. Just very funny to me. But at least we got there. That was my main worry, because I was just like, oh my god, are we gonna get to the end of the series and still not have the final battle for the rings or the wished? Yeah, for not it to complete the cycle, I guess. So I'm glad we got that, and technically more. But as I said before, there were so many things where storylines were just not finished. Like, for example, Hoiru and Kuon's parents. We were introduced to this lovely scene several episodes back where Hoiru has to go to, I think it was episode 33, might be wrong, 34, maybe. But he goes to his house, his family house, by accident when delivering pizza or whatever. And he realizes it's his house. And you're like, oh no, what's gonna happen? The mum doesn't recognize him at all. And then you're like, oh no, he got replaced by 2 random kiddos? Oh no, and his parents don't even recognize him? You feel the emotions, right? Then at the end of that episode, they do something, which was very interesting. And they don't bring it back. Like, at the end of the episode, he comes back, accepting his piece, accepting that he is not their son anymore, gives another pizza, and the mum starts to recognize him. And then this, like, little moment where you're like, did she recognize him? Well, what was the point of that? Like, does that mean she's going to remember him by the end of the series? Skip to the end, where there's the epilogue. They've done all this stuff. You would have thought, like, he probably kept on visiting, or probably, I don't know. Because she invites him to come back for drinks and stuff at the house for some reason, and the father's like, what the fuck are you doing? You would think that there was some growth there, that at the end of the epilogue, like maybe she remembers him or something, or she realizes who he is. Because in the epilogue, he's walking around still with this backpack of all of the rings that he won for the second time. So like he's done a whole second run of it and won again. And he's walking around still owing money for the rent. And then nothing comes up about his parents ever again. And you're like, well, you may not be, but I was just like, oh, that's such a shame. We got that one scene where they introduced this concept of like her remembering him slightly, to not go with it at all. And it's just loads of things like that. But they do a lot of good things. Like Sumino and her sister Otto get to reconnect. Otto wakes up in the epilogue and you're like, great, Otto's back. Great. But then they ruin it. Like, no one's talked about this yet. The only 2 females in this epilogue, right? I think we see Bouquet in some way. Oh, we need to talk about Fire Candle and Bouquet and everything. But we'll get to that. But like, the one thing that they do for these 2 women, Otto and Sumino, this Sumino obviously not being Maya, but being Kohaku, who was Oni's sister. We'll also talk about that in a bit. But it's the 2 females. And we haven't seen this through the whole rest of the show, which I thought we'd escaped it from. But the epilogue, the final thing we see of 2 strong individual women in this thing is them going to the beach. And you may be like, oh, but that's a nice thing. Beaches are lovely. Yes, they are. But not when there are specific shots of their feet. Like, we have directors in past Sentai, past Kamen Rider, past Toku, who are fetish. Like, they just have a fetish for feet. And they love showing the young legs of women and the feet of women. And you're like, why the fuck is this happening? I thought we escaped that this year. But no, the final, 7 shots or something of the 2 girls, most of them are of their feet in water, in sand. Like, this show is a kid's show. Who needs to see fucking feet? I'm sorry, I'm swearing. But this actually pisses me off. After everything that you guys have put Sumino or Maya through, and then putting Kohaku through, trying to film everything to catch up with Sumino, the last thing you do is show multiple shots of her feet. For why? What is the point? You can do a beach scene, which they have done multiple times in the last, quarter or last arc of this show. They've been on that beach a lot. None of the times have they ever shown anybody's feet, ever. But as soon as there's 2 young women who are there shots of their feet all the time. Why? You could have had them just sat on the beach casually or in the water casually. You didn't have to show. Oh my god, there were so many shots of their feet. I'm like, who wants to see that other than men who fetishize it? Pissing me off. And that is one of the reasons why I'm wearing my fuck off shirt. I got my coffee to calm me down. But yeah, it's just like one of those things I didn't get to mention yesterday and it pissed me off. It's fucking disgusting, man. Oh my god, and everything with Epstein as well coming out, and you're like, why are we doing this? Anyway, another thing that was really, really weird, and someone mentioned it actually to me and I wanted to bring it up, was the fact that like, they're excusing toxic relationships and like being fucking creepy. Like with, I'm thinking of Tegajun specifically, and with Himimitsu or Kuon, who is Garyudo. But like, it's like one of those things where you're like looking at it and you're like, oh, they did bad things. They did bad things, right? But then Garyudo dies, protecting his brother, because he finally realizes that he could finally accept his apology. This kid was 5 years old when this all happened. What the fuck do you mean? Children do stupid shit all the time. You're not gonna... You are a terrible parent if you start bringing up stuff that they did at 5 years old that they couldn't even understand themselves. Anyway. But like, Haru finally gets... The apology gets accepted in a weird way after all of his toxic... Like, after all of Garyudo's toxic behavior. And you're just like, okay, I guess this is fine. This doesn't feel deserved. This doesn't feel like a good apology in general. Like, Garyudo should be apologizing to his fucking brother for being fucking weird. And then he dies. And then Tegasword goes, I'm going to take your soul and put you into your sword. And then still continues to be weird in the sword. Still talks about, the warm embrace of his brother. What? Stop it! Even Hoiru, when later on in the ending, where he's like having to hold the sword, he gives the sword to someone else because he's still being fucking weird. Like, are you okay? Who's writing this character for Garyudo? Who's writing the Garyudo plot? Himimitsu reappears? Kuon reappears in the finale to protect him? I was not expecting that. But let's just say Thomas was very excited, very happy to see him. But then also like Tegajun comes, and obviously there's so much wrong with Tegajun in this show. Oh my god, it was so bad. She, for one, forced him into a wedding, forced a kiss on Tegasword, and forced a baby on him. There's so much wrong with that in general, just to start off with. She continues to be an abusive mother through the whole show until her son gives her a scarf for Christmas, and she's like, oh, I'm in the wrong. I shouldn't have done it. I mean, it just puts this weird taste in my mouth that they have almost said it's okay to do all of this. Maybe they're not saying that, but it just feels very weird that, like, after everything that they went through, family's still important. And I get that. I think, like, quote me if I'm wrong, or tell me if I'm wrong. But I do know that, like, Japan has this huge belief in family and, like, what you should do for your parents, and, like, you should look after the elderly. And, like, every country has that. Like, Japan specifically, it's very family-based, and I can see that, especially in a show like this. After everything Tegajun put them through, they're still family by the end. Because, yay, happy families. And I don't know why, it puts a bitter taste in my mouth where I'm like, are we really saying that this is okay? Because they gave them a scarf? They do talk about loneliness, though. They do say, like, Tegajun is doing all this because she's very lonely. But the only reason why she's lonely in the first place is because she did loads of shitty stuff. So there's no accountability. And when she does go to walk off to be like, I've done terrible things, I need to just be alone, they go, no, come back, mother. You can't be alone. Come back to me. And we'll be happy family, just like you wanted. And you, is that really the correct thing to say, to do? I don't know. Anyway. What else do I want to mention? Oh, Fire Candle and Bouquet, and I know I just complained a lot about Tegajun, but I think the underlings of Tegajun have probably been one of the best, like, villain factions that we've had in a long time. Like, they've really made villains like lovable these days, and you can redeem them in a way. But they've been doing this for like a while now. But it feels, especially with this show, you were hoping for Rikuo and Bouquet to get together. You were hoping for Fire Candle to be or to hang out with Hoyoru because of their lovely connection that they had. Like, you were hoping that Sweet Cake and Shining Knife were going to be happy as like a happy family. Like, you just hoped a lot of stuff with them because they were so lovable, so animated, so friendly, and maybe that's because two of them were human, AI created humans. But like at the same time, like, you're just like, no matter what happens, no matter what they do, they're lovable. Like, it gives me Gozyuger villains. Like, you know, you have Candelaria and Lacuro, who were very much like the good side of it, but it was all emotion based. So they were love, luck, or happiness. And then you had like, oh my god, what was the candle guy? Oh my god, that is him. Fire Candle was the candle guy, like Endorfu or something like that. I can't remember. But like, you love those villains. And in a way, Toku does it so well. I mean, especially in Sentai as well. In Kamen Rider, you definitely have some villains that you're like, oh shit, we do not like this guy. And in Sentai you do too. But in this specific show, in Sentai in general, you have a lot more of those lovable villains where you're just like, oh my god, but he's cute. Oh my god, they're so cute. And I think that's another reason why I like Sentai so much, and I will be missing it. But like, one thing I really wanted from Fire Candle, that we got for Fire Candle, but I wanted also for Bouquet, that we didn't get for Bouquet, was monster forms. Like, Fire Candle has a new monster form in the finale. And I'm gonna put my coffee down for this, because, but when I say that this monster form for Fire Candle, mwah, perfect, stellar, was just great. I needed that. And I think we saw it like I think it was like the third episode or the second episode to the end. And then in the finale, it came back. And I was just like, oh, perfect. Mwah. Yes, please. Give me more of this. Give me more of the monsters. But then, like, you would think that if Fire Candle got one, well, he got two, actually. He got two monster forms. You would think that Bouquet would get a monster form too, considering how her younger sister, Ribbon, who literally was there for like a couple episodes. I don't know why you introduced them if they're only going to be there for a couple episodes. But they did lead us to a beautiful crash out from Bouquet. But exactly, with the crash out from Bouquet, her sister dies, finds out Rikuo, her idol is actually Goju Leon, and her enemy, who she's literally fought against a couple times, not realizing it was Rikuo. But like, she crashes out. She goes from Bouquet the loving to Bouquet the destruction. And we were like, oh my god, she's getting a monster form. She's getting a monster form. I can't wait. It gets to the very end, like, where she's like, I'm fully Bouquet the destruction after falling out of love and having this rage build up inside her. She gets enveloped in a dark cloud, and you're like, oh, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for. Changes her guns. That's it. Her guns go black, and you're like, okay, but destruction. Like, I would have accepted her dress going black, or her dress going like a red, or her dress changing any color in any way. Her flower crown going black in some way. Do you get what I mean? But nothing, just the guns go black. Cool. So Fire Candle can have this badass monster form, but the woman, the female, has to stay pretty proper with some guns. Like, we've had another woman be the Turbo Ranger Universe Warrior, going from rules to delinquent. And that happens to her. She's able to... I haven't even talked about oh my god, I haven't even talked about the Universe Warriors. But yeah, but it's just crazy that like Fire Candle can have this, but then Bouquet has just got new guns, and I'm like, that's disappointing. Come on, give us a monster form for Bouquet. I need one, please. Someone draw it, or I'll draw it. Like, I need to see a villain version of Bouquet because I need that cosplay. Oh my god, there's so many characters in this show I want to cosplay though. Like, no matter how messy or no matter how stupid some of the things that happen in this show, a lot of it is still enjoyable. Like, it's messy, but it's in a way that you're just like, it's fine. But is it though? The major thing we said yesterday was it was very messy from start to finish. It was always messy. And Dawn, one of the guys who joins that discussion, asked, is it because of Sumino or Maya Imamori's erasure that it just was messy? Or is it because that it was just messy altogether? And I'm like, it probably would have been better. There are storylines that were lost. There were storylines that will never be like seen again. There was storylines that didn't feel satisfying enough or were cut short or like changed. That does happen in the second half of the show. But I think the show was already messy. And that's a shame for the end of Sentai as we know it. It's a shame. But it does happen, and it is what it is, unfortunately. And I think that's ultimately all my thoughts are, it's just a shame. I liked the show. I enjoyed what they did with the Universe Warriors. I won't say too much. I'll leave that to the Marcus discussion. But I'm disappointed. I'm sad. A lot of it was great. But just so many fundamental things went wrong with this show. Like, we only had 2 female Universe Warriors out of, like, 50 episodes. You're just like, okay. Not 50, 49. And only one of them comes back at the end. Like, some of the Universe Warriors come back at the end, and it's really hype. It's, like, really cool. But then a lot of it is just, like, messy as well. It's just hard. It's hard. Especially when the whole situation with Maya was so fucked. And I think the show was affected by it, but it was already affected by its messy premise, by its messy production, and so much also goes wrong. Not just Maya Imamori, the actor for Garo, who comes as the Deca Ranger guy, also had a lot of issues around his arrival in the show, which is such a shame because I love that actor, but not anymore because he's an asshole. But also just like in general, it didn't feel like it could have been a really good end to the show, right? It could have been a really good end to the seasons, to Sentai in general. But I think it will fall flat on so many things that they just excuse in this show. So many things are pushed under the rug. And it's not necessarily all Toei's fault, but Toei definitely did some things like, what the fuck is that feet shot? Why? The last thing people will remember you for, the last thing we'll remember Sentai for, is fucking using women, showing their feet on screen, weird writing, and the show doesn't even, acknowledge that it's the final. Like, the last thing I'll mention, everyone was wondering what they were going to do for the passing the baton on. Are they going to do that, the red to red contact? Are they going to do that for the next show? Because obviously it's Gavin, it's not connected to Sentai. They bring Gavin in! So this isn't really the end of Sentai, it's just the continuation. I mean, technically, Goju Wolf doesn't give him the ring or doesn't transfer. It's just Gavin there taking on whatever and then leaves. Which is fair enough, I guess. But it just kind of shows that, like, Sentai is continuing, but in a different form. And that's what makes it so frustrating. I'm upset the Sentai ended this way. But then I'm also conflicted, because is it over? Is it done? Is it just being taken by Gavin? Is now Project Red the new Sentai? Why not just confirm it if that's the case? Also, the ending felt so open-ended. It didn't feel conclusive. There were so many things that were left undone. It's just frustrating in a way. I don't want to just keep on badgering on the show. The show was good, but it wasn't great. I think that's ultimately what everybody's saying. It's a good show, had fundamental issues, didn't stick the landing. It was fine. And that's what, as I keep saying, that's what makes this so frustrating. But Sentai will live on with fans like me and you, where we will continue to make merch. Like the Yaraka windbreaker I wore yesterday, which was done by Tan on TikTok and on Etsy. I think it's Etsy. No, on her own website. It'll be in the description as well. And projects that will be continuing, like fan projects, like fan films being made at the moment, or like projects like Aquaforce, which I wish to continue, which are Sentai based, and also a secret project that me and some of the Tonkatsu gang are working on. So I'm just saying, it's kind of cool. Just be excited. But I think ultimately the only way that we're going to be able to get through this drought of Super Sentai is by sticking together, being positive about the future, being positive about the past shows. If there's a show you haven't gone and seen, go and see it. Like, there's so many shows that I haven't watched yet. Like, Marcus keeps on glazing Kira Major. I need to watch Kira Major, apparently. So I will be watching that, but please watch more Sentai. Experience it, enjoy it, talk about it. Because the only reason why they'll ever bring Sentai back is if they know that people love Sentai or wish for its return. Because they're not going to do it if no one has any interest in it. Obviously, that's what happened with the toy sales. Nobody wanted the toy sales dropped. But I think ultimately that is my thoughts on Sentai ending, Gozyuger ending, and then Gavan coming soon, which I will be making a video on soon. So please take a few moments for the next last bit of the video and just let's say goodbye together to Super Sentai. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video and enjoy the rest. To Sentai.